So let's dive into a question that seems, almost childishly simple on the surface, but it gets incredibly deep the more you really think about it. What is the real fundamental difference between something that's alive and something that isn't? Okay, picture this. You see a dog. It's running across a field. Then you see a stone rolling down a hill. I mean, both are moving, right? But we just know instantly that one is alive and the other isn't. So the easy answer seems to be all about the kind of movement. But of course, it's never that simple, is it? Because what if that dog is fast asleep? It's not running, it's not barking, but it's still very, very much alive. So if the stuff we can see, like big movements, isn't the defining characteristic, then what is? We've got to look a little deeper. And this gets us to the real heart of the matter. We naturally lean on what our eyes can tell us, but the real secret to life, the universal sign that separates every living thing from every non-living thing, is actually happening on a scale that is completely invisible. I mean, these are our usual suspects, right? The go-to signs. We see a dog running, a person shouting, maybe a plant getting a little bit taller over a few weeks, or we see an animal's chest rising and falling. It's all just common sense. These things are evidence of being alive. And this is exactly where that simple, visible-only definition just completely breaks down. A sleeping animal, it shows almost no movement. Some plants grow so slowly you couldn't possibly see it day to day. So just using our eyes is, well, it's an incomplete and pretty unreliable test for what life is. So here it is, the really crucial point. The one true, non-negotiable characteristic of all life is constant, invisible, molecular movement. Every single living thing, from a tiny microbe to a giant blue whale, is like a bustling city of molecular activity, constantly repairing itself, constantly maintaining itself just to stay alive. That is the secret. Okay, so why? Why is all this frantic molecular activity even necessary? Well, it's because being alive isn't some passive state of being. No, it's an active, relentless, full-time war against chaos. Let's break down this battlefield. I mean, think about it. At every single level, living things are just masterpieces of organization. We are built in these incredible layers. Entire organisms are made of tissues. Those tissues are made of cells, and the cells are packed with even smaller components. It's this beautiful, perfectly ordered structure. But here's the catch. The universe, the environment all around us, it has this natural tendency to move towards disorder, towards breakdown. It is constantly battering away at this beautiful, organized structure, always trying to turn it back into dust. And the stakes here, well, they couldn't be any higher. This isn't some minor problem. If an organism's internal order is lost, if that breakdown process wins the fight, it's over. It just ceases to be alive. That simple principle really is the line between life and death. So, if life is this constant battle to maintain order, then every living thing has to have a way to fight back, right? It needs a dedicated, full-time crew working around the clock just to keep everything from falling apart. So that's the real question, isn't it? How does an organism actually do this constant maintenance? How does it repair all the damage, get the energy it needs, and keep its incredibly complex machinery in perfect working order? Well, the answer lies in a set of core functions that we call the life processes. And you can think of them as the 4 essential jobs of life's maintenance crew. First, you got to get the fuel and materials, then convert that fuel into usable energy, next, deliver it everywhere it needs to go, and finally, you have to take out the trash. All right, so let's pop the hood and see how this maintenance crew actually works, starting with the most fundamental job of all, getting the raw materials and the energy that's needed for, well, for all this work. And that's the process we call nutrition. So on Earth, life has basically come up with 2 main strategies for this. On one side, you've got the autotrophs, the self-feeders, like plants. These guys are the ultimate chefs. They literally make their own food from super simple ingredients like CO2 and water using energy from the sun. Then, on the other side, you've got the heterotrophs, the other feeders. That's us. We can't make our own food, so we have to go out and eat other organisms to get the complex molecules we need to survive. Now, because we heterotrophs are eating complex things, plants or other animals, we can't just absorb them as they are. We need a specialized internal factory to break all that complicated food down into simpler molecules that our cells can actually use. And this right here is our factory, the human alimentary canal. It is basically one long, very sophisticated disassembly line. It's a tube running all the way from the mouth to the anus. And it's got different stations all along the way, each one specialized to break our food down further and further until the useful bits can be absorbed. But getting the fuel is really just step one. Now we need to see how the rest of that maintenance crew, respiration, transportation, and excretion, all work together to turn that fuel into the very function of life itself. So next up, the crew needs to turn that fuel into usable power, and that's where respiration comes in. Now, it's really important to know this isn't just breathing. Breathing gets the oxygen into our bodies, sure, but respiration is the chemical process inside our cells that uses that oxygen to crack open food molecules and release their energy. This is the engine of the whole operation. Of course, in an organism with literally trillions of cells, that fuel and oxygen isn't just going to magically appear where it needs to be. You need a delivery service, a really good one, and that's the job of the transportation system. For us, that's our bloodstream, a massive, intricate network that makes sure every single cell gets the supplies it needs to do its job. And finally, any factory, any engine is going to produce waste. The chemical reactions that power our bodies are no different. These byproducts can be useless, or worse, they can be toxic if they start to build up. So the final job is excretion. This is the vital cleanup crew that gathers all of this metabolic trash and gets it out of the system for good. So you see, none of these jobs happens by itself. They're all connected. Nutrition brings in the fuel, respiration unlocks its energy, transportation delivers it all over the place, and excretion cleans up the mess. It is one constant, interconnected cycle, and it's all working together for a single purpose, to maintain order and fight off chaos. That cycle is the process of being alive. Which brings us to a really fascinating final thought. Think about a virus. It doesn't do any of these maintenance jobs on its own. It shows zero molecular movement until it hijacks a living cell and uses its machinery. So, knowing what we know now, that life is this self-sustaining fight for order, are viruses actually alive? It's definitely something to think about.